Hello guys, welcome back to Headlines. I'm Zoe. Nobel Prize winner Professor Kahneman died last week at the age of 90. Even if you have a lousy memory about who he was, you must have seen this book cover. Thinking Fast and Slow, a book talking about how our minds work and cognitive biases that influence us in making a decision. 思考快与慢的作者，诺贝尔奖得主Daniel Kahneman 教授上周去世了，不仅仅是他的书籍和论文享誉全球，他的一些工作哲学也为人津津乐道。In today's episode, let's take a peek at his enthusiasm for collaborating with his intellectual adversaries. 卡尔曼教授的一大工作热情就是他愿意和他的竞争对手合作。Adversary, opponent, enemy are quite similar, except for some subtle difference. Simply put, an adversary is more like an opponent, who is someone you want to defeat in a contest, while an enemy is someone you have to destroy. You could say Americans are increasingly seeing China as an enemy. 一个经常听到的词汇 foreign adversaries, 国外的敌对势力。At the beginning of this article, there are some backgrounds about Daniel Kahneman, in case you don't know who he is. Let's read from here. In 2010, Professor Kahneman and another economist published a highly influential essay that found that on average, higher income groups show higher levels of happiness, but only to a point. Beyond the threshold at or below $90,000, there is no further progress in average happiness as income increases. So this is the groundbreaking discovery of a money theory of happiness, where Professor Kahneman ties psychology to economics. 卡尼曼的发现呢是幸福感会随着收入的增加而增加，但当年收入达到9万美金的时候，幸福感就不会再随着收入的增加而增加了，而会进入一个平台期。11 years later, Dr. Killingsworth found exactly the opposite. People with higher income reportedly higher levels of average happiness. Period. Stop. That's it. 就这样了。So the more money people have, the happier they are likely to be. 新的发现呢是说不存在这个平台期，钱越多就会越感到幸福。What gives? What happening? You could imagine some furious exchange in which Professor Kahneman made sharp objections to Dr. Killingworth's paper, to which Dr. Killingworth answered equally sharply, leaving readers confused and exhausted. There are 3 questions to help you understand the long sentence. What is exchange? Exchange is to take and give in return, 交换，对吧? But it also refers to a formal conversation. Here, exchange is the antecedent of the attributive clause. In the exchange, 2 professors made sharp objections, to which Dr. Killingworth answered equally sharply. Now, question number 2. What is the antecedent of the second which? In other words, Dr. Killingsworth answers to what? Obviously, answer to the sharp objection, right? This is a nested attributive clause. Finally, were the arguments factual? Yeah, the answer is no. The writer used the subjunctive mood, and the indicators are imagine and the past tense in the clauses. 这个是虚拟语气，所以这段争吵并没有真实发生。Professor Kahneman saw such a dynamic as angry science, which he described as a nasty world of critiques, replies, and rejoinders, and as a contest where the aim is to embarrass. 卡尼曼认为这种愤怒的科学的互动吧 ，dynamic 是在 nasty world 丑陋世界里的批评和回应方式。它服务于竞争，目的是让别人难堪。Rejoinder is retort, a quickly response to something, 快速的反驳或者驳斥。They couldn't find an objective rejoinder to the statement, 竟无法反驳。In his account, angry science is a demeaning experience. In one's account is in one's narrative, 在某人的讲述中啊，不是在某人的账号里。For example, he gave a detailed account of what happened on that night. Demean is to dishonor someone, 贬损别人吧. Stop using demeaning words towards persons with disabilities. Professor Kahneman favored an alternative that he termed adversarial collaboration. He asked Dr. Killingsworth to collaborate. Their central conclusion was simple. Dr. Killingsworth missed a threshold effect in his data that affected only one group, the least happy 15%. For these largely unhappy people, average happiness does grow with rising income, up to a level of around $100,000, but it stops growing after that. For a majority of us, by contrast, average happiness keeps growing with increases in income. 两个人合作研究的结果就是 Dr. Killingsworth 漏掉了一组只影响15%那些最没有幸福感的人的数据吧。 也就是说，本来就不开心的这部分人，随着收入上涨到10万美金一年，他们的幸福感就不会随着上升了。但是呢，对于大部分人本来就开心的人来讲，幸福确实随着收入的增加而增加，并没有出现天花板。So both sides are partly right and partly wrong. Professor Kahneman engaged in a number of adversarial collaborations. Not only did he advocate adversarial collaborations in academic life, he also believed that this idea can be understood more broadly within organizations of all kinds, including corporations, nonprofits, think tanks, and government agencies. Sustained efforts should be made to lower the volume by isolating the points of disagreement and specifying tests to establish what's right. 就很简单啊，不仅在科学研究方面，在国际问题、政府机构里面都需要降低 volumes。这个 volume 指的是什么呢？都需要去隔离分歧，然后去确定什么是对的。Asking how a disagreement might actually be resolved tends to turn enemies focused on winning and losing into teammates focused on truth. 把焦点从关注输赢转移到什么是真相上来。Do you think it's easy to work with adversaries to pursue the truth? Do you have this kind of experience? You could share it with us in the comment section, and I'll see you next time.